welcome in. This is the apartment. I am only subletting, so I actually have to move out in a few months. This is like the dining room bar area. We have some books. We've got a bar station, as you can see. Lots of stuff. Beautiful apartment, a lot of light. The decor is much higher than my standard. Not my doing at all. This is our little reading nook. It is my favorite way to spend a morning. So the rent here is $7.15 a month. Utilities tend to be around $60 in the wintertime. It can be much lower than that in the summertime. I assume I moved in October, so I've only known the cold, frigid months of Chicago in this apartment. I will also say that most every apartment that I've ever lived in, I found, believe it or not, through Facebook. The very first one, which was an absolute steal, it was across the street from my school. When I was a student at the time, it was $700 a month. In-unit washer dryer. Can't get much better than that. I found that through Facebook. I found my apartment in Berlin through Facebook. Yeah, Facebook. This is our kitchen. It's pretty decently sized for, a Chicago apartment. Plenty of counter space. We have a dishwasher. We have a full oven, microwave, etc., etc. Refrigerator. Here is our balcony, which is, again, one of my favorite spots. Very cute. I definitely feel like I am an extra in like Rear Window or something, because at night when all of their lights are on, you can see directly into their homes. And I'm not gonna sit here and tell you that I spend time looking at them, because that is super creepy. Yeah, anyways, okay, moving on. As well, a decent sized shower and bathroom. I'm now going to show you around my room. It is small, I will say, but honestly, it does the trick, right? It might be a little cluttered, so I'm sorry in advance. My bed is a full twin. I don't know. It's the one step up of twin, basically. I have a beautiful window, which is nice. Really soothes my seasonal depression. My clutter corner, my paintings, my whiteboard. And here's where I keep a majority of my books. Sorry, it is going to be quite cluttered. So as you can see, I live my life in my closet. No pun intended. I wish I had bookshelves, but the thing is I'm living here for 5-6 months, so it doesn't feel right to invest in something that I will only be using for a short amount of time. My interest in doing this video is mostly because I come from small suburban, middle of nowhere, Ohio, and spending a year attempting to save up money in Chicago for a lot of people seems like a bit counterintuitive. My friends and family are all confused, I will say. They are doubtful. Chicago is not the cheapest city. The average meal, if you're going even a step above fast food, is probably going to cost you somewhere between $12 and $20. And that is not upscale restaurant prices. I will say, however, that the minimum here, I believe, is $16 an hour. And when you try to track all of your spending, I will say it can get to be a little tricky. I've put together an expense sheet, comparatively weekly and monthly, for myself. So this is my Google sheet of my expenses here in Chicago. Monthly, my rent is $715. As I've told you, I share this apartment with 2 other people. We have 1 bath. It's a lot nicer than it needs to be, to be honest. My utilities usually in the wintertime are about $60. Monthly transportation pass to the CTA or the L or whatever you want to call it is $75, and I do pay that, which is not fun. Every week on groceries I spend about $35, $40, which translates to about $150 every month. Going out, I'll call it $120 a month. I've really been attempting to save up my cash, so this is probably overstretching here. So my total monthly expenses, as you can see, is $1,100, weekly $280. Having recently, very recently, moved up to a serving position rather than the previous one that I was at, this week alone I made $1,500, which was a huge kick in the pants. Why wasn't I doing this before? Why didn't anyone tell me that restaurant folks, everyone, makes so much more money than what I was doing? It's $1,500. That's insane. So going along that, because again, it's a new job, I don't have anything to base the pay off of, so I just times that by 4 and assume that I will be making $6,000 every month. I'm sure that's not how it's gonna go. Which means that every month I will have $4,800, almost $4,900 left over for savings, for whatever. That's crazy. And I will say the job that I have moved up to, it's not, I'm not going to say it's an entry-level position, but it is certainly not the most executive thing you can go for. Anyone can find a restaurant job at any point in time in Chicago. I believe it was voted the best American city for food, the best American food destination, which ranks higher than New York City, apparently. I don't know. I don't know where those stats came from. I don't know who decided that. It's just what I heard. And then I went ahead and did my other stats. So if I were to only be working consistently at minimum wage before taxes, I would have to work 17 and a half hours every week just to cover my personal expenses. That's less than part-time, assuming part-time is 20 hours a week. 20 hours to, I believe, 35 hours a week. I will say living in Chicago has been a slow learning experience. Realized far too late I didn't have to work 3 different part-time jobs just to make rent when I could assume more responsibility in one job and make like almost 4 times the amount that I was originally making. I will say I was very lucky to have had that position. So yeah, this is probably one of the most beautiful apartments I've ever had the pleasure of staying at, and I pay very little. Again, I moved in with mostly clothes and books. I did not bring my bed, I did not bring this desk, I did not bring much, and I pay comparatively very little. I have a friend who paid $500 a month, and granted it wasn't in the most exciting, most local area, so you know, you give and you take. If you want to find a studio bedroom, I'd say at the very low end you could probably find one for about $800 here. If you're comfortable living with roommates and you are open to not having had much or any relationship with them beforehand, unfortunately, I do recommend Facebook. So many people are looking. I don't know, I've had great success with that so far. I will also say about the transportation, generally, if you are living within the city limits, it is easy to get transportation more or less wherever you want to go. That is hard for me to say a little bit because I've always lived basically right off the red line, which for me has been the most, it's easy peasy. Like, you walk on one train, you walk off that same train, 20 minutes later you're downtown in the middle of everything. So I guess I can't really give you much information there. In several cases I have friends where I've had to take a bus to a different train just to get to their homes. That can get very annoying considering lately the buses have not been coming very often, so you could end up getting stranded some random corner for like a half hour or something. But on the other hand, having a car in the city is not the easiest either. I mean, it's just city living, you know, it's what you want to do. Whatever you want to get out of it is what you're going to get out of it. If you want to purchase a parking spot, you do you. If you want to buy gas in the city, it's going to be almost twice as expensive as most anywhere else. So I find it almost easier to rely on the public transportation system. But yeah, I've really fallen in love with the city. I feel like once you figure out what life looks like here, it really isn't as, well, in my experience, it wasn't as scary as I thought it was going to be. It certainly was challenging, I will say, getting used to that, but once you find your spot, once you find your friends, your people, your things, whatever, it's a beautiful city, and I am so very in love with it. And I hope that you might be too, ? But anyways, whether you're looking to move to Chicago, potentially you're looking for an apartment already, or you're just curious as to what life here is like, I hope that this has pleased you, and that you have a wonderful day, and that we see each other again real soon. Love you, bye!
We're sorry, the number you have dialed is not in service at this time.